Hey there, Dr. G here. You know what I like in a clan? A clan with a lot of power, but have a big price to pay. Now, a lot of clans are like that, but some you only have to pay a small price to get their big power. But others that have a larger price to pay for their power usually have a really big payoff. And I find those kind of clans kinda interesting. So, let's talk about one of those kind of clans. Dark Irregulars as a clan is a very cool concept. The bigger the soul is, the more powerful the vanguard. But when your only outlet for getting a large soul is soul charging, then you run the risk of charging some important units into the soul or getting yourself closer to decking out. It is for this reason that when using this clan, it's really important to know when to stop soul charging. Well, enough of that. Let's get to one variation for this clan. Now, if you noticed, most clans have around maybe 2 ways to pick one of their decks. One of them is based on the break ride. Other times, it'll be based on the cross ride. Some clans can mix the break ride and the cross ride together, but for me, I sometimes like to keep them separate just to make it more interesting. This deck will be based on the cross ride Dantarian with this 10k right here, Master of the Fifth Element. For our starter of choice, we have Greedy Hand. Greedy Hand is used over the Grade 3 Searcher because you needed skill to shuffle one very important unit into the soul, which I will get into later. Other than that, you could also use it to shuffle non-trigger units into the soul so that you have a better chance of getting to those triggers, but that's rarely ever used. And as for the triggers, besides your 4 heals here, you have 12 criticals. 12 criticals are essential in this deck because this deck has the ability to make your rear guards reach ridiculous amounts of power. And if you give your crits to these super powered rear guard units, this will give your opponent big trouble. The grade 1s in this deck are actually very important in how the deck works. For starters, let's start with 4 perfect guards. Enough said. Then, we have 2 units. These 2 units are very important to the way the deck works. And those units are 4 Doreen the Thrusters and 4 Dimension Creepers. Dimension Creepers is actually exceptionally important because of the way it works. You soul blast it from the soul to soul charge 2 into the soul. That's 2 souls in one go. And if you have multiple copies of Dimension Creepers in your soul, you can soul charge a whole amount of soul in one go. And that combos very well with Doreen the Thruster. You can power her up to ridiculous levels. And if you have this setup, Dimension Creepers in the soul, Doreen on the field, and Master of the Fifth Element, your rear guards will be powered up so much that any crits you allocate to any of your rear guards, it's just gonna have to get through, or they're gonna have to use perfect guard. This is your final turn scenario right here. Then, to round out this whole thing, we also have Alluring Succubus set 2, just for cleanse soul charging, or if you need to activate Doreen's skill. And as for grade 2s, we have 4 Free Travelers. Free Travelers real only use is to soul charge those Dimension Creepers from your deck. And really that's the only thing you really need to do. You could probably use it to remove non-trigger units in your deck later on in the game, but that's rarely ever used. It's practically the same way I would use Greedy Hand. Then we have 3 Flirtatious Succubuses. It's basically used the same way I'd use my Alluring Succubuses, just for cleanse soul charging and to activate Doreen's skill. And lastly, we have 4 Werewolf Sigers. We have 4 Werewolf Sigers here because you have Doreen the Thrusters. If you think about it, when Doreen's not boosted by her own skill, she's only a 6k Vanguard. So to compensate for that low power, you gotta have your 10k vanilla World Sojourner to hit for 16ks to hit those 11k vanguards. So that's really his only use here. And finally, for grade 3s, we have 4 copies of your boss units: King of Mass Dantarian and Master the 5th Element. Dantarian here is great for Master the 5th Element because not only does it fuel the soul for the Master's eventual appearance, but it can also give soul power to 3 of your rearguard units. So if you think about it, if you break ride your Master the 5th Element over King of Mass Dantarian, it can give 3 units 1000k boost for each in the soul. And if you manage to have 10 in your soul and you have Master the 5th Element skill activated, then you would be giving 3 units 13k power. And with crits backing you up, this is a lot of power coming towards your opponent right then. Some cards to consider. Now, if you don't feel Greedy Hand is necessary, if you got all your free travelers and all of these soul charging cards and you feel that's enough to get you by, then you have an alternative, and that is your grade 3 searcher, Devil in Shadow. With this guard, you have a pretty good chance of getting to your Mask of Dantarian ride first, and it also feeds the soul. Philly bonus. Now, another card to consider is a replacement for your Alluring Succubuses right here. And that card is Yellow Bolts. Now, you don't have to be soul charging all the time. You just need to get to 10. But with Yellow Bolt, if you for some reason you can't get to those Dimension Creepers into your soul, if it's in your hand or it's in your damage zone, then with Yellow Bolt you have a source that can continuously soul charge until you can get to 10 soul. Plus, it also works well with Doreen, so that's other card to consider. Another card to consider is Flirtatious Succubus. This is a replacement. Knowledge Drunkard. Now, Knowledge Drunkard has a great skill. On hit, you soul charge 1 card from your hand and you draw. It can actually be really good because if you happen to have your Dimension Creepers in your hand and you have Knowledge Drunkard out and its attack hits, you can soul charge a Dimension Creeper in your hand into the soul. But the only thing that keeps it down is its 8k base. And 8k base doesn't mesh well with your 6k or 7k boosters. Only 14 to 15k. But if you think about it, Dantarian and later on Master the 5th Element can power him up to acceptable levels. So that's a card to consider. One last card, which I don't own, is Emblem Master. 9k and Counterblast on hit to Soul Charge 3. It's another card to have to Soul Charge in case you can't get those Dimension Creepers into Soul. And that's actually a pretty good deal. This deck strategy is actually quite simple. All you really need to do is acquire a large amount of soul, 10 to be exact, and then power up all of your units and attack for the kill. So basically your first turn will probably look something like this. Say that a soul. It's actually pretty good if you have Dimension Creeper as your first Vanguard to ride, because that means you already have a Dimension Creeper into the soul. So maybe we damage there. Draw. We go into the next one. Free Traveler says Free Traveler is actually the next best card to ride. In this part of the turn. So Counterblast 1. And we get our second Dimension Creeper. This is all just with the optimum setup going. So we got that, attack per turn. Then we get our second, maybe third damage. Then next we have Dantarian. Preferably you would have to have Dantarian in there. Then activate Greedy Hand skill, get your next Dimension Creeper. Normally at these turn events, you actually might want to have up to 3 at the least, but 4 at the most of your Dimension Creepers into the soul, because 1 Dimension Creeper is equals 2. Because when you Soul Blast one, you get 2 more cards. So you have to think that this is actually worth 2 cards when you use its ability. So 2, 4. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dantarian counts as 9 when he gets ridden over, and Dantarian, when it attacks, gets a soul charge when it attacks. So that's actually up to 10 by now. So say have this one set up, then we start building up our field as well. Can't forget that. Maybe we managed to get a Doreen out. Maybe Werewolf Sigers out, because we want to have Doreen with Werewolf Siger to hit 16k. Maybe we have Flirtatious out. Maybe we have 1 Dimension Creeper that we didn't get to, and maybe we have that out. So that's just an example. Then get to 4th damage, right? That's when we have our Master of the 5th Element come down. So there you go, Break Ride. So give the power to, if you're able to do it, here to your 2 attacking rear guards, and really also here to your other rear guard. If you have a Doreen out, then you would probably want the 3rd soul power from Dantarian skill coming down to here. So the ones that gets the soul power is your Werewolf Siger, Succubus, and the Succubus's booster. So this one, and this one will be powered up. So, and then when we start using Dimension Creeper's skill, your Doreen will be the next one that gets powered up. So you have 2 lanes that have big power coming in, and then when you reach 10 soul and Master the 5th Element skill activates, all of these units will get +3. So this one would get a power up, and this one would get a power up. So you have 3 high power lanes coming in. So let's take that into account. So how many is in soul? 2, 4, 6. There's 6 in soul right now. So we use a Dimension Creeper skill. Soul Blast, Soul Charge 2. That's 7 now. We got another Dimension Creeper, Soul Blast, Soul Charge 2. That's 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 7. Oh wait, I also forgot. You probably attack with Dantarian before, so you attack. So you got a Dantarian Soul Charge as well. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. That's 9 now. So then we have 1 last Dimension Creeper, 2 Soul Charge. So it'll be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So let me see. You Soul Charge 3 times with Dimension Creep. 6 times with Dimension Creeper. So this one will get 6, 12, 18 power. And then we got these that now get a 10k boost. And then after that, because your Master the 5th Element at 10, has his Limit Break ability activated, everybody has now a +3k. So this is all like really big lanes coming in. So when you attack, let's just say for example, you get a critical, and maybe on the next second drive check, you get another critical. So where do these criticals go to? Well, more than likely they will block your master's attack. More than likely, especially when they're on 4th damage. So you would allocate these to there if you manage to get 1 trigger, and if you're really lucky enough to get a 2nd trigger, you put it there. So you got like 2 more lanes coming in with as much threat as the main Vanguard itself. So really this deck is not about the Vanguard, it's all about the rear guards. Powering up your rear guards to menace your opponent. I mean, with this kind of a power, it's it's just as threatening as a Vanguard. It's not like most decks where the Vanguard is the most threatening thing. And this one, it's the rear guard that has the most threat. Now, one other thing I need to have to tell you guys is, once you get to 10 soul, you have to stop soul charging after that. Because once you get to 10 soul, master skill activates, everybody gets +3 on your turn. That's enough. Because after that, because of the amount of times you soul charge, there's a really good chance that your deck will probably be looking something like this now. Like, you're getting really close to decking yourself out. So you don't need to soul charge anymore. Unless, of course, you want to power up your Doreen, for maybe you know for a fact that the Doreen power up will help you finish your opponent off faster. So maybe you have a activate Flirtatious skill, soul charge 1, power up your Doreen, the thruster, up to 19, plus the +3 from Master the Fifth Element, respectively 6, 3 here and 3 there, so that's 6, so 19, 25, I think. That's 25 right there, and if you get a critical, another trigger, say, that's 30 right there. So if you think for a fact that the soul charge is worth it to get that extra power, then you should totally do it. But most of the time, don't do it, because you'll be decking yourself out really, really fast after soul charging up to 10 soul. Overall, this is a great beat stick type of deck. It promises great power, but with that great power comes great responsibility. The responsibility not to deck yourself out. It's a rare type of deck that focuses powers onto the rear guard instead of the vanguard, which is quite the complete opposite of the Amon reverse deck, which I'll get into when I get around to it. This is Dr. G signing out.